Dear humanity, what is love really? For sure, it is the most misused, misunderstood, manipulated word I know. In some ancient sects, it is explained as a vibration that sits at the top end of the spectrum along with bliss, each vibration having a high end and a low end. The higher a frequency, the more subtle it is and the closer to white light it becomes. Every color we see is a refraction of pure white light. If we were to attach an emotion or thought to this white or golden light, it would be love or bliss. Therefore, we could say that every emotion we experience is a distortion of love, a refraction of the pure, intelligent love that sits within our consciousness, depending on the human filter it is moving through: hate, jealousy, anger, greed, sadness, happy, etc. They are all part of an emotional rainbow that all manifest and resonate at different frequencies. Could it be then that they are all on the spectrum of love? Think of it. When you are vibrating at a higher frequency, you immediately begin to feel lighter and filled with a love that seeks to spread itself without want or need for anything in return. You are healthier and more at peace. You become more forgiving, more loving, more accepting, more kind, and less judgmental of all beings. When you fall deeply in love with someone, you disengage the mind and lead from your heart. As long as the mind remains out of the equation, you feel and engage in the world from a different frequency, a much more beautiful one. When that same being, that is still you, is vibrating at a lower frequency, you feel heavy, you sit in emotions of fear, jealousy, insecurity, hatred, anger, and so forth. You are more prone to disease and you tend to react to the world around you rather than respond. It is most likely that at this point you are leading from your mind, not your head box. For the mind, in order to survive, requires you to constantly be in an active state of conflict, doubt, and drama. For it is what feeds the mind. To add to this, the mind is as far away as you can get from your intuitive intellectual box situated in your navel area, the throne of your consciousness. Supporting the mind in its constant quest to block out love and move you back to fear and doubt is your misaligned body. Too much phone, computer, sitting, etc. has your energy not moving as it should, often being blocked or stagnant. Your glands, organs, and systems are not functioning properly. Everything is dense and heavy, like oil rather than water. It is in this state that love in its purest form eludes you, because you are deeply embedded in your human form and its 10 senses, so far away from your true self. When you 100% connect to the true celestial being that you are, then in a way you stop to exist. You are one with everything, your energy not separate but in the same ocean as everyone else. Here you understand that you can bend and influence any energy by influencing your own because it is one. That there is no separation, no wall between your energy and all the energy that you are embedded in. Here, love blows its trumpet and flows freely from you, giving you wings to rise above all the drama being played out in the dual world, where there is a you and there is everyone else. However, as long as you remain entangled in the human form, in the mind, and all the conditioned layers that make up the false identity of who you think you are, you will continue to see yourself as separate from everything else. As the human desires seek to exist, and the ego in you wants acknowledgement and a standing ovation. By being deeply embedded in your human forms means you are slave to your desires, constantly seeking that pure love that makes you so high through the satisfaction of your desires. You seek love and bliss in orgasms, makeup, tools, food, work, alcohol, drugs, compliments, likes, dislikes, views, and so forth, which for brief moments offer you the illusion of love. However, that type of love quickly wanes and you are back to landing into low emotions, which once again ask desire to use the senses to give them satisfaction and lift them out of low emotions. Thus, leaving you living a life where you are constantly catching the butterfly for just a moment before it flies away. Ever notice how much of your life is spent chasing love and bliss? and how often we are seeking that through sex, but that is another story. I'm not saying that we should slay desire, for that is impossible unless you slay your human form. What I'm saying is be that which influences desire to attain a certain state of awareness rather than be enslaved by desire to keep you in ignorance and chasing the butterfly. Pure love, unlike the love of lower frequencies, is calm and peaceful, not attached or dependent on anyone, as it arrives from the source of all creation. It does not come and go. It is a love that wells from within and is channeled from consciousness, or the true self as is known by many of you. In every single cell of your being there sits an intelligence, a consciousness that was birthed from the Absolute. You exist in the space of every cell. However, you are not the body, the organs, the cells that make up your human form. You are the intelligence, the spirit that sits in all of them. Therefore, you are all the above, and yet at the same time, none of the above. You are now beginning to see how challenging it is to reach pure love. As your entire being needs to be in balance and harmony, every layer of you, from the physical body all the way to the more subtle layers of the mind and subconsciousness. Although each layer is different in their roles and density, they are all connected and operate as one. It may be why in today's world so many of us are struggling to connect to ourselves and to love. Why few of us are feeling love and leading from it, but rather thinking it and acting from the thought of love. For one, the physical level, the food body, defined by what we ingest, is so out of alignment and not being fed properly. When it is being fed, it is fed processed food, thereby losing the intelligence and knowledge that food once passed on to us. Every living being and organism carries inherent knowledge and truths. When our body is healthy and in balance, it knows how to process the food to gain not only its nutrients and knowledge, but how to remove any waste from it. Because the body is so raveled up, it is blocking the movement of energy within which truth sits. Misaligned because of computers, phones, sitting more than moving, and all the artificial electromagnetic pulsations that are disrupting our cells. Then there is the energetic layer connected to our breath and its ability to move stagnating energy within us. Here, the average human is struggling, as few are connected to their breath or know the proper mechanism of breathing. As a result, energy and oxygen are only moved to certain areas, and most of the body is fed bad recycled air all the time. It is mind-numbing how few people actually know how to breathe. In most Eastern disciplines, there are poses and breaths for the organs and glands, as well as a series of movements and sounds you can make to vibrate the organs back into balance. There's also the use of sound instruments, shamanic bells, bowls, native drums that all emit a resonance that seeks to bring all organs, glands, and energy systems back into a harmonious vibration with the rest of the body and with the cosmic universe. But this is not enough. There's also the layers of the mind, emotions, etc., your mental inner world. The mind is the container in which all thoughts and impressions are housed. Each thought manifested into words and or actions sends out a vibration that affects all the layers of the human form, organs, glands included, as well as all the emotions emanating from them. Therefore, it does not matter how much you work on the physical level. If at the mental layer you are still in the bouncy castle of negativity and ignorance, you will quickly move out of resonance and harmony. The same goes for your emotions. Thus, continuing to find pure love eludes you. This is where yamas and niyamas stroll in. Similar to the 10 Commandments, their job is to purify the mind of dirt and grime, to wipe it clean, neutralize the negative, and present a clear surface onto which consciousness may reflect itself, so that you can see your true self. With a pure mind, a mind that has been deconstructed of the conditioned self, love can begin to appear. But at its simplest level, what is the greatest barrier to love? It is you, and your identification with your thoughts, beliefs, ignorances, ego, and everything else that makes up your conditioned personality. An illusionary personality made up of bits and pieces given to it over a lifetime. A personality that has attached love to everything but love, using love to fill holes, to manipulate, to gain power, to feel power, to reinforce behaviors and thought processes. Because that personality, which is really just a fabrication, lives in a society that peddles and uses love to destroy rather than create. A society that supports and narrates stories under the guise of truth that jealousy, insecurity, games, hate are all love. Well, yes, that is true on a vibrational scale. But the problem is, it keeps you on the low end of the scale, never allowing you to tip the seesaw and elevate yourself to the high end of the scale. It is therefore not surprising the number of relationships, marriages, friendships that have died untimely deaths because of the stories we keep telling ourselves about love. We teach love is to sacrifice, to keep quiet, to disappear, to not express, to hide. We tell the story that to show love and live in it is to be weak, vulnerable, and eventually will lead to suffering. Why? Because if we knew the truth that love is in fact one of the most powerful vibrations, it would dismantle the world we live in. But for that to happen, we must lead from the heart so it can guide us to the navel, rather than the mind and the bottom end of the seesaw. When testing the electromagnetic field on the human, the pulse of the heart extends up to 10 feet in front of us. You only have to look around us at what was created without the human influence to know that the planet must have been created from a place of love. Why else does your heart swell and you move to a place of peace and joy when you sit in nature or in love? The following narrative pretty much sums up the influence society has had over our relationship with love. We humans have been taught to work all the time, to be on call 24/7, and to make work a priority above all else. Because it is the thing that provides, and providing is love. Even if that providing is above and beyond survival, and more often about comfort and luxury. We are told that love is fantasy, romantic, and something to be invested in with gifts and goods rather than time. Those that speak up and ask that the human make time to love, to give love, time, and energy, to give the self rather than the self in the form of a gift or a token gesture, are seen as being selfish. That love is not productive, it is not really important, and when you love someone, you should sit on the sidelines and cheer on their absence for the greater good of mankind. To ask for love in the form of time, intimacy, conversation, and connection is to be weak and silly. True love fights for their country, fights for material wealth, is all about the other and never about the self. How genius is it that we actually use love to diminish the individual, disband families, break up relationships, all in the name of greater good? A greater good from where I am sitting is not really good for everyone, but for the few who actually have put the self first, while the rest of us have given the self and love away. Yet every religion and discipline in the world speaks of love. Love thyself, love thy neighbor, love thy companion, thy family, and so forth. But how do they expect us to love all these from a place of absence? To actually give time to other humans, to sit, to walk, to connect? It can only happen by creating a life where work no longer demands all else revolve around it, but rather asks work to revolve around relationships, marriages, families, communities, children, and so forth. In doing so, we would create a healthier world with more content humans. When we sit in contentness and peace, the creative force in us, the one guided by creation, begins to emerge, thereby creating a world where the lines of division begin to fade, where the overall well-being of all living beings is elevated. But for this to occur, we need to invest in love, with time and contact, not only within ourselves, but with others as well. And no, I don't mean social media and its versions of virtual love. I mean physical contact, and where that is not possible, then time. Time where you actually sit and connect to another, not connect while driving, walking around, shopping, cleaning, and all those things we slot the ones we love into because we don't have time. We want love, we crave it, we seek it, but we don't want to invest in it the way we invest in work, money, and material accumulation, or the way these days we invest in our physical, outer being. Instead, we keep looking for love without effort, relationships without work or time. No different than how we speak spirituality these days. No vibration elevates itself on its own. If you want to tip the seesaw so love sits at the top and all else sinks to the bottom, then you have to move the vibration. You have to do the work. Nothing else will move it except time and effort. Love is an incredibly powerful energy, one that actually rises faster and stronger when it is connected to another. Two batteries are stronger than one. Connecting to another human on a deeper, more intimate level not only fuels your own vibration, but others as well. It is the conduit for spiritual growth. It is the hand that heals. It is the power that moves energy. It is the source of creation. And yet, we've reduced it to a heart stuck to an emoji or painted on a card, and then wondered why we all feel so isolated and powerless in this grand play called life. We were all given the props, and yet time and time again we leave love on the floor, choosing the suffering props instead. And then we complain about our inner and outer world. We complain how marriage and relationships are becoming instinct, not wanting to give them time and effort, rather demanding that they understand they have to work, or choosing TV as a companion over a conversation with another human or with oneself. Because for sure, you cannot love another if you do not love yourself. That sort of love, from a place of non-self-love, is not love. It is a plug to a sinking boat. Lastly, we keep demanding that we be loved without effort, without overcoming the blockade within ourselves that creates so much fear around love. Instead, asking the other to love you for who you are, so you never have to change or grow. Asking the other to give you love without effort or an energetic exchange. Relegating love to one of these things where once you have it, you don't think you have to work to maintain it. It does not work that way. Once the seat of love on the seesaw is up, if you don't work to deconstruct fear and conditioning, they will rise and love will fall back down to the ground, as will your reality. There is a reason love scares those in power. There is a reason they've worked so hard to keep you from embracing it. A collective rising of love is more powerful than an isolated individual living in fear, insecurity, and conditionings. Ask yourself this. When you left a job, did the world collapse? Did the job collapse? When this part of your journey is over, will you have wished for more love and all the amazing experiences that rise from it? Or would you have wished you spent more time in fear, in work, or alone? So take the time to invest in love, in your relationships, in all living beings, but mostly in yourself. Stop giving away your power. Become the light that creates the rainbow, rather than the rainbow. Namaste.